Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this Learn to Play Hearthstone video, I'm going to discuss the concept of tempo. Tempo is a concept that many people struggle with, but it's also key to really playing card games. In brief, tempo is the pace of the game. You gain tempo when you're able to do things faster, more quickly than your opponent. When you play for tempo, you're not necessarily using your resources to gain maximum value from them. It's not like you're going 2 for 1. One of your cards defeats 2 of your opponent's cards. Sometimes you use 2 or 3 of your cards to defeat 1 of the opponent's cards. But if you can keep this pace up and if you can keep this going, then you will have a tempo advantage. And while your opponent may have more resources than you do, if all those resources are in their hand, whereas your resources are on the board, you just might be able to win the game before they can use theirs. Not all decks win through tempo. It is especially aggro decks that win through tempo. Aggro decks just slam down stuff very quickly at the start, and they overwhelm their opponent, so they gain an early tempo lead, and the opponent is unable to catch up. There are also decks that are called tempo decks, although in Hearthstone there are no real tempo decks in the way that the term is usually used in card games, because typically a tempo deck would be a deck that attacks the opponent's tempo, so it denies and prevents the opponent from doing things, and then it can win even with just a small board or small amount of resources, because the opponent is unable to answer. In Hearthstone, a tempo deck would be something like a secret mage that had counter spells and explosive runes and also had access to stuff like sap. So they would be able to deny the opponent from doing many things and then chip in the damage with minions instead of having burn. But that kind of deck doesn't really exist in Hearthstone. And that is because the interaction in Hearthstone on the opponent's turn is very limited, so these sorts of decks that attack the opponent's tempo are very difficult, if not impossible, to create in a game like this. Instead, what tempo decks in Hearthstone have come to mean is decks that are good in tempo throughout the game. You can think of it like aggro deck throws a lot of tempo on the board immediately, but then they dwindle down a little bit. They don't have the tools to keep up that pace. They just hope that the initial rush that they put in is enough to beat you before you're able to stabilize. Whereas a tempo deck in Hearthstone has powerful plays all the way to the mid-game, so they don't come at you quite as fast as an aggro deck does, but they just have a very solid play, turn after turn, until the mid-game where they win the game. Control decks and combo decks, on the other hand, generally do not care that much about tempo. They do care about the concept, because if their opponent is snowballing out of control, they need to find ways to hold on to the game, so that they don't get blown out. And sometimes control decks and combo decks need to play their cards ineffectively in order to answer the opponent's tempo. But oftentimes control decks are really looking for that value. They're looking for that, okay, I can use 1 of my cards to answer 3 of your cards. So if I can survive and keep doing this, then eventually I will win. And that is the opposite of tempo, that is winning through value. Let's go take a look at some examples of tempo in Hearthstone. Early game tempo is important in aggressive matchups. You're often playing cards without their full value in aggressive matchups. Soulfire is really a classic tempo card. You're using that and you're sacrificing another card, so you're sacrificing card advantage in order to have an immediate effect. Here's an example of Zoo using Soulfire to gain tempo. 50-50 losing Leroy, losing Fungalmancer. I think that's still the line I have to take here. I believe this is the line I need to take. I need to Soulfire this Void Ripper, because this denies his Fungalmancer play. He had the Deadly Poison all along, so that was what I was playing around when I didn't play this one earlier. But turns out he actually had every answer. I was playing around some of the answers he could have, and he had every single one. Oh, that was a terrible draw. Fungalmancer I can have a 5-4. I have to play the Fungalmancer. Tapping isn't strong enough here. I need more board presence. But now if he has a Vile Spine and a 1-drop, and I know he has a 1-drop because he has the Flame Elemental. So if there's Flame Elemental Vile Spine this turn, then I think that's just game. Well, the Imp is something. So I could silence the Firefly and play the Imp. I think that's what I need to do here. I need to go for tempo. I need to get board presence here. Okay, we're here for board control. He still has 4 cards. One of them is a Flame Elemental. And still, if there's a Vile Spine, that's really strong. But if there was a Vile Spine, wouldn't he have played it last turn? He floated 1 mana last turn though. So maybe he wouldn't. If he finds that tug, maybe he tries to raise. More small stuff. Okay. Could still be a Fungal Mancy set up here. Need to tap. Well, that's one solid card. Let's see what that one gives me. Enchant the Dreadlord Chain Gang. Well, that's one weak draw from that one solid card. No 1-drops were found. I guess it has to be the Chain Gang. I'm just trying to take over the board here. Flame Imp and Chain Gang. Just whoosh. We're going wide. Here is another example of playing for tempo, using Soul Infusion on a Fungal Enchanter and then using Fungal Enchanter rather ineffectively, but still in a manner that actually has a great effect on the game because of the tempo gain it gives. I think I have to do this. I get a 5/5. He will spend a dagger hit here. Of course he gets to develop something, but it's not a tug. But this means that he can just kill a 5/5. Ouch. I still need to go for it. Because I needed the tempo gain. Now it's at least a little bit more difficult for him to kill that. Surprising move. I just need to do this. I couldn't afford to play Kelazet here. Need to try to make these harder to kill. Maybe to survive the Fungal Mancer. No, that cannot happen. I'm just so low on resources. But the Soul Infusion on this one is basically what's keeping me in the game. If I didn't play the Soul Infusion on this Fungal Enchanter, I would already have been blown out of this game. Many decks are built to really use those high tempo synergies. So in this example we're going to see some tempo plays from both sides. One side playing the Corridor Creeper, the other playing the Happy Ghoul. And that's a lot of tempo from both sides. I think I'm coining out the Maul. Because coining out the Maul allows me to take board control from those 2 Flame Imps, at least for the time being. And having board control is good. That's obviously a pretty decent card. Hit, right. 4 minions die, Corridor Creeper is free. That's the way this goes. Hit there, hit. Then the Righteous Protector and the Corridor Creeper and some more hero power minions. But nowadays these run the Despicable Dreadlord. So he has some tools out there. And he can also have a hand like this. 4 mana to get 9/9 stats on the board. Rogue is really a classic tempo class in Hearthstone, And here we're going to see how Edwin Van Cleef can be used to gain a tempo advantage. I think I'm seeing an 8-8 Edwin in my future. The scary fledgling. How will I react? Well, now it became pretty easy.
This guy's tough.
That's a big boy. Yeah, I clearly saw this in my future when I was clairvoying. I need to play around Fungalmancer still. Now he can still Fungalmancer like this alone, just to hit into the Henge Clan Tug. There are ways for him to kill the Henge Clan Tug, but that's okay. I don't mind that. Wanted. Oh, that's interesting. This, on the other hand, means that he's simply dead. So, Oddrogue, which one of us was the aggro deck again? Not all tempo plays are made in the early game though. There are also tempo swings, and tempo swing happens when you do something that will give you a lot of sudden burst of speed in the game that the opponent will find very difficult to answer. Here's an example of a tempo swing with the help of Myra's unstable element. I think this is the play. I think this is the play. Let's see how many spiders we get. If I burn the spiders, I will not get any. I have to be able to draw them.
I'm out of cards.
I got 2 spiders. Okay. Then we try to challenge the hunter with this. I have Leroy, I have Gold Blood. I was able to find a sap. Firefly Wildspine, right? If I just sap this. I have 2 saps, so I can develop with saps for a while. I think I'm going to Wildspine right here. I'll start sapping later. Wildspine here and push face. I still have 2 saps. Deathstalker Rexa. Intriguing. That's 7, puts him down to 18. I have the 10 from hand. I want as many minions on the board as possible. He's bad at dealing with white boards. Okay. Should I actually just Cold Blood now? I should. Because that forces him to deal with the cold-blooded minion. I should have cold-blooded this to spread the threats more. He's down to 13. I have 2 saps. I have 2 saps and a Leroy. Boom. While some control decks just want to go to the end of the game and fatigue, there are also other control type decks that actually do rely on big tempo swings in order to win the game in the late game. Here's an example of a tempo swing performed by an Overload Shaman. What if I leave him with 6 damage and have 3 Snow Fury Giants with the Death Rattle on the board? I don't get to overload 3 crystals anyway easily. I think that's what I need to do here. Let's make some more of these giants, and now he can't kill me with double Hellfire. Double Hellfire is 1 off. I have some healing available from hand. And I have a bunch of giants that are relatively difficult to kill, although I guess he can silence them. That was an interesting choice. Why don't I just punch in this 24? Then he can play 2 7/7s. I don't have an answer to that. I still think I need to do it like this. But if he makes 2 7/7 taunts, isn't that too much? I can hex and I can lightning storm, but that kills just one. Then there's still another one, and he uses the hero power to...
For now.
It's important to recognize the importance of tempo, both for your deck and for the particular matchup you're in. Are you playing a deck that wins through tempo? Then you should consider doing plays that give you advantage, even if it uses a lot of resources. Are you playing a slower deck, but the opponent is threatening to snowball out of control? You need to pay attention to the tempo of the game in order to pace your answers. And ultimately, there are multiple ways to win. Will you win through tempo? Will you outpace your opponent? Or will you win through value? Will you outvalue your opponent? No matter which route you choose and what kind of deck you build, it's important to understand what is the tempo state of the game you're playing and the importance of tempo in the matchup you're playing, so that you can choose the right plays. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please click the like button and subscribe to my channel for more.